Okay, on this, the first thing that we need to do when setting up a program, or one of the things that we need to think about, is the sequencing of events. And in this particular scenario, we're wanting to allow the user to choose which level they want to happen. Now, if I want to add a level of complexity also where the only level 1 is available when the user's level 2 will only be available once user has completed level 1, and so forth. You want to do a progression. So we could also potentially add a progression to this. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in my stage, I'm going to create a variable saying level. And this variable would say which level was the last level in which the person now has access to. So in other words, once they pass level 1, I can say there I would store 2. When they pass level 2, I would say 3, and so forth. But I would want all of the previous levels to be available after they've passed that level, for argument's sake. So we could create a variable to do that. So now on green flag is the start of everything, and you would usually do this in the stage, and then you would display what's happening here. Now on the start of everything, you'll set things to be where they should be and do what they do, and if you're dealing with a lot of motion in your game, you would need to reset their positioning, their sizes, that kind of stuff. Because otherwise you don't want your game to run and your characters, for example, shrinked by 50%, so it's half the size that you should have started off with for whatever reason. You don't want to, when you press start again, to start at 50%, because then the base point is going to be incorrect and it's going to get very, very tiny. Or he might, for example, be off the screen when you wanted him here. So you would, when the green flag is pressed, you would set any item which is being changed during the process of it. Now, all of this hasn't got to do with major programming knowledge. Usually speaking, in programming, the main set of knowledge that you need to know of, and what this is kind of, is you declare a variable and you initialize a variable. In other words, you give it a starting value. And it's the same kind of concept in Scratch. When you start your program, you want to start things at an initial value. In this case, we're going to set the level to 1, because to start off with, I want access to level 1. Now, we're going to create, at a certain point, after the user's completed level 1, we want to display the menu again, don't we? After he's completed level 2, we want to display the menu again. So I'm going to create a method or a structure which will allow us to display the menu. So I'm going to say there, new message, display menu. Now on display menu, we're going to do a couple of things. One, Alex over here, which is this woman over there, and I'm not actually recording my cursor, which I wonder if I took it during process. If you record cursor, we'll see. But Alex is the woman on the top right. She is my level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, whatever order it is. But when you're displaying the menu, you don't want your characters to be displayed, and vice versa. When you're displaying your characters, you don't want your to be displayed. So we want to make when I receive display menu, so in this case I'm going to broadcast that after level 1, I'm going to say display menu. The first thing I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to actually hide all my characters. So I'm going to create a broadcast which will say hide characters. So I'll say hide. So the first thing I'm going to be doing there, let me pause the video for a second. So the question that was asked by Shen was that display menu is broadcast. It receives here, so it receives here, but that just broadcasts hide characters. But does anything happen? And the answer is no, because we haven't actually coded anything, or actually nothing is even receiving hide characters yet. So in this case now, we're going to have to create the receivers. So in this case, Alex is a character, so we want to say when Alex receives hide characters, she should hide. And now there is at least one action that's happening here. I'm going to just duplicate this, put this into Bell, duplicate it again, put it into Button, duplicate it again, put it into Carbug. So now I've duplicated that code, so now when this broadcast, when I press play, immediately what should happen is it broadcasts hide characters, so as soon as I press play, all of them goodbye. Do you guys get that? Now, after we've now just displaying the menu, what is the next thing we have to do? We determined we had a level variable to determine what level they're on. When the green flag is pressed, they're only allowed to go to level 1. Is that correct? When there will be, when we display the menu, we might only display certain ones. So in this case, we potentially, depending, we would need an if statement, and we would have to say if, and we'll deal with if else's. I saw a lot of you program using if. They used if. They then created another if, and then they created another if. Now, if it's impossible for this second if to be true, if this one is true, you mustn't do that, because it's bad coding. It's like me saying, it's like me saying, are you wearing a blazer? Yes, no. And then asking you the question, are you only wearing a shirt? If you're wearing a blazer, you're obviously not only wearing a shirt. Does that make sense? So that if that condition is true, then the second condition obviously cannot be possible, so there's no point in doing it. So you don't want the computer to have to go through that thought process. Does that make sense? It's taking up a bit of programming for no reason. Do you follow me on here? Now, in this case, so you would use an if-else in this case. So we're going to say if level is equal to I'm going to do this one slightly other step. We want to potentially be able to hard. Do we ever want to hard? We want to potentially hard level 1 or show level 1, right? So I'm going to create an event that when I receive new message hard level 1, and this will hard. I'm going to create another method called when I receive show level 1, this will then show. I'm going to duplicate this and put this into each of the other ones. So you set up your infrastructure at the background, because I've thought about what I'm doing is, and I know I need to I need to be able to show each button and hide each button. Now only that object is able to do that. So I'm creating a method or a function I can call that and get it to do from anywhere else.
For the levels, so when you want...
Another important thing that I'm doing here, you'll notice that when I'm naming stuff, I'm trying to keep to a convention. You don't want to be confuse yourself and not be sure what's referring to what. So when you name, keep to conventions. Now there are certain programming conventions, and I'll go through those when we get into naming certain things. But for now, in Scratch, it's not as applicable, I don't think. We've got the hard and shows all up there. Now here we're going to say if the level, I would potentially hide all of them and only show the ones. We've got two choices here. I'd hide all of them and show only the ones that need to go through, or I can show all of them and then hide only the ones that don't need to be. Does that make sense? Or I could individually go through each stage. We could do it either way. Or I'm actually going to, I'm not going to use an else statement here. Remember I told you about else's being, and I'm going to actually go here. I'm going to say if I level 1 is greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, I want to broadcast show level 1. Make sense? So if the level's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, I'm going to be showing level 1. Makes sense? Now the next thing, I'm just going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to say if level is greater than 1, which means it's 2, 3 or 4, then I must be showing level 2. Now there are many ways of solving this. I could have done it just where I worked with it elsewhere. I just personally feel that this one is, are any of the ways wrong? If it gets the result done, no. It's just the fact that so this will now only display the menus that should be. Now in this case, are all of them hidden before I start this? No. So I'm actually going to create when I receive a new message, I'm going to say hard menu, and what this will do is hide all the menus. So here I'm going to broadcast hard level 1, duplicate hard level 2, duplicate hard level 3, hard level 4. And then all I'll do is I'll broadcast hard over here. Not hard characters, hard menu. Damn it. Hard menu. So now I've got something that will hide my complete menu. So to begin with, I'm going to hide the whole entire menu, and then I'm only going to display the ones which levels are appropriate. Do you guys get this? Now also later on when you click on a button, you can just call the method hard menu. And this teaches you the use of methods. Once you code something up and it's there to use, you need to use it again. You just go and it will work with it. Do you guys get that? Now, I've got this up. That's fine. We've started getting our structure of events happening. But now we need to, when Sprite 1 is clicked, what do we need to do? So we're going to do events when this Sprite is clicked. We want to start level 1, don't we? So I'm going to say when that is the first event that is happening, I'm going to broadcast hard menu. So all the menus will now be displayed. Which character should I show? I need to have a show level 1. So in here I'm going to say when I receive. All of this is frustrating, but it is got to do with stage items being set up. For your guys' exam, I will have most of that together. I might ask you to do one area where you're doing some communication or a couple of areas with communication. But it'll only be a small section. But for your guys' patch, your program, your project, your game, you are going to have to work out the communication between your stages. So that's why it's important is for your project, but it is not important for your exam. Your exam, it's one section. I'm going to say you need to this to control that, or over here make a startup. I'll have a lot of that infrastructure set up beforehand. Yeah.
Do we have a cycle test system?
Yes. On Monday, I'm giving you the exact dates. Okay. Now, on here, I'm going to put this message is going to be show level 1. So when I receive show level, damn it, did I call the other one show level 1? I did.
Call it show level 1 character.
Maybe I'll call show char 1. Show character 1, show character 2. I mean, probably level, whatever. Okay, show character 1, and we are then going to go look. So it's just a matter of setting up. I'm going to put. Oh yeah, so we've copied and pasted this. I think I copied and pasted it to level. Okay, all of them. So now all you would need to do is change the dollar on there. And as I said, you can work with that from there. Right, let's just test our infrastructure here. Quite frankly, we're not going to be able to do it too well. Firstly, fail. We didn't do it well at all. It didn't work. Green flag, nothing.
Is it? Do you have to implement something so that, let's say, if like, let's just say it's like something like if spacebar click, the menu will appear because the way you set it, it's not going to appear because you've set it to hide immediately.
Basically, what I've quoted mine to be, I'm going to record this in the video. Remember I briefly taught you about threads. The fact that a thread means that a part of a program could be happening simultaneously while another part of the program is happening. Scratch defaultly makes things happening in threads. So in other words, when it broadcasts hard menu, it will do hard menu, but it will continue running the rest of that sequence. Does that make sense? So I think what's happening is it's busy doing the harding after it's done this. So the order of events has been happening at a wrong, incorrect timing. It's harding after it's showing, when it should be harding it all, then showing. So that's when it's very important to use something called broadcast and wait. So I'm going to broadcast hard menu and wait. So in other words, it will complete this before continuing with this. If you just say broadcast, it will continue with this. It will broadcast that, then continue with this. And potentially what it's doing there would be happening while it's doing this. So you can't guarantee order of events. Whereas if you go hard and wait, it will ensure that that thread or that method is complete before the other one is. Do you guys get that? Okay, now so this whole hand movement doesn't actually make sense because now the video doesn't have me actually doing the hand movement. So it's just going to be going, anyway, not the point. I actually have got a solution to that, but it's not, I didn't put it on, yeah?
I just have a question.
So that was the movement that was happening. You see, then now it can be in the video. So. Anyway, yes.
Well, level 2, I can only get it to stop because of the repeat. Let's say I and J.
It's broadcasting rate. It will complete the other programming segment before. So this, the one on the left, will be completed before it continues with where it's at. Does that make sense? Okay, now the next thing that we got here is it waits and it runs. So let's now run it and check. So that was the problem, is the fact that the order of events were happening incorrectly. So it was hiding it after it was showing it, rather than waiting and hiding all of them and then showing it. So that was a problem. Now when we click 1, it should show level 1. So we've got this working, right? And then obviously when this person is completed with whatever she needs to do, we would then need to go and hide and whatnot. So now we're going to be coding level 1. Now we're going on to the number sequences. So that's the end of the sequencing video.